My name is Emily Carter. I live in Portland, Oregon with my husband, Michael, and our 17-year-old son, Daniel. If you looked at us from the outside, you'd probably think we were the picture-perfect family. A nice suburban home, a loving marriage, and a son who seemed to have everything he needed. But behind those walls, we were just like any other family, carrying secrets, struggles, and unspoken words that sometimes built up into walls thicker than the ones holding up our house. It all started on a rainy evening in February. Oregon rain is nothing new, but that night, the steady patter against the windows seemed louder, heavier, almost as if the world outside was echoing the storm that was slowly building inside our home. I came home from work a little earlier than usual. I'm a nurse at St. Mary's Hospital, and my shifts can be long and unpredictable. Michael was still at the office. He worked as an accountant downtown. That meant it was just Daniel at home. Usually, when I came in, I'd hear music blasting from his room or the sound of him laughing with friends online. But that day, the house was oddly silent. I walked down the hallway, carrying my bag, and noticed his bedroom door was slightly open. I pushed it gently, expecting to see him gaming or scrolling on his phone. Instead, I froze. Daniel was sitting at his desk, his head buried in his arms, shoulders shaking. He was crying. I can't explain the way my heart clenched at that sight. My son, the boy who always tried to act strong, who rarely let me hug him in public anymore, who wanted to prove he was grown, was sitting there, completely vulnerable, breaking down in silence. "Daniel," I whispered, stepping into the room. He jerked up, wiping his face quickly with his sleeve, trying to compose himself. "Mom, what are you doing? You should have knocked." I raised my hands gently, showing him I wasn't there to scold. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to intrude. I heard nothing and I got worried." He turned away, muttering, "I'm fine." But his voice cracked, betraying him. I sat down on the edge of his bed. "Daniel, I know when you're not fine. You don't have to hide it from me." There was silence between us. Just the rain outside, and the faint hum of his computer screen. Finally, he whispered, "It's too much, Mom. Everything's too much." I frowned, leaning forward. "What do you mean?" And then it all poured out of him. The stress of school, the pressure of getting into college, the loneliness he felt even when surrounded by people. He confessed that he often compared himself to others, feeling like he wasn't good enough. He told me how social media made him feel small, how the world's expectations seemed crushing, and how he sometimes wondered if anyone would notice if he wasn't here anymore. My heart shuddered. I wanted to hold him, to fix everything, but I also knew I had to listen. So I let him speak, every word, every tear. When he finally went quiet, I moved closer and wrapped my arms around him. At first, he resisted, stiff and embarrassed. But then, slowly, he leaned into me, letting the walls he'd built crumble in the safety of my embrace. "Daniel," I whispered into his hair, "you are enough. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to carry all of this alone. Your dad and I, we love you more than anything. You can always come to us." That moment changed everything. From that day on, our home became a place of more open conversations. Michael and I made a promise to never be too busy to really listen to Daniel. We started family dinners without phones, long weekend walks by the Willamette River, and simple car rides where Daniel could talk without feeling judged. Of course, it wasn't an overnight fix. There were still tough days, moments where Daniel withdrew again, or where the pressure of life weighed on him. But now, he knew he wasn't alone. He knew he had a safe place to land. One particular evening a few weeks later, we all sat in the living room together. Daniel had just finished telling us about a project he was proud of. His eyes lit up in a way I hadn't seen in months. Michael smiled and said, "Son, you don't know how proud we are of you." Daniel glanced at me, then at his dad. "I didn't think I could talk to you guys before. I thought you wouldn't understand." I reached out and took his hand. "We may not always understand everything, but we'll always try. And we'll always be here." Tears filled my eyes as I realized how close we had come to missing this, to missing him. That night when I walked in on him crying could have gone differently. I could have walked away, given him privacy, and let him drown in silence. But instead, I stayed. And because of that, A bridge was built where a wall had stood. Years later, when Daniel stood on the stage at his high school graduation in downtown Portland, giving a speech as one of the student leaders, I thought back to that rainy February evening. I thought about the boy who once felt invisible and the man he was becoming, and I silently thanked God for letting me walk in at the right moment. Because that one moment changed everything.